Well, good evening here on UMOSC Radio. Right away, we are going to dive into the Gavel Pod program as always on Saturday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. with Simon and Mildred as always. So, I just want to say hi to you who has been listening to UMOSC Radio since morning. You know the programs are always there, and I would just hope that you'll be listening in to UMOSC Radio as usual. Mildred, how are you doing today?
Very good, Simon. How are you?
I know.
How is your weekend?
I'm fine.
How is
I just see the way it is, but regardless, we have to.
we continue?
Yeah. So it is just 8 minutes past 8 here on UMOSC Radio. As always, we are here to, of course, to educate you on what is really needed in leadership. As always, so if you're interested, you just need to go on your Google Play Store and you download the UMO app, that is Uganda Matters University Radio app, as always, and then you get to us, yeah, as always. Yeah.
As leaders, and we had a beautiful discussion, I can say.
Exactly.
We highlighted and we came to a conclusion of some of the few strategies leaders can use to approach these differences and conflicts, where Madame Masika, a law student from Makere, gave us accountability, good communication, and teamwork to always work as a team. And of course, these things are rhyming. When you look at the very first episode that we had about professionalism, moving hand in hand with the conflicts, how to approach the conflicts and indifferences, everything is lining. So today we really have an exciting topic too: the influence of the youth in shaping the world of politics. So Simon, we see the youth these days are coming on board to influence the politics and to really to influence the decisions that are being made, which is really important because they're really urging, they're eagerly to see a change in the status quo of leadership. However, I want to keep the mic to myself. We have guests in the building.
This is the building. Let us first get into a short break and then we get back.
We have guests in the building, two gentlemen, law students from Uganda Matters University. I'll give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. So, gentlemen, you must welcome.
Let us start with the new one.
They're all
new in my face.
They're all new.
This one is so new.
You're making our listed now.
Please feel free, you at Uganda Matters University Radio. We would like to tell us some insights on what we have today, and then of course we continue.
Yes, thank you, moderator. My name is Boboya Moses. I'm a law student in second year, and I'm also honored to be the vice chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Uganda Matters University. So I'm privileged to be here today to be part of this show, particularly on the influence of youth in shaping world politics. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
His voice is very energetic. I really want to hear his views. Anyway.
He said what is his name? Sorry.
Moses.
Moses, Mr. Moses. My name is Simon.
Thank you.
Okay. Usual suspects. Job today.
I can see.
Good evening, dear listener.
Oh yes.
Listening to us out there. My name is Omwin Matthew, a man from Toronto.
Okay.
A law student at Uganda Matters University. Year 2.
So Matthew was with us last week.
Yeah, he was.
Before, I think I gave my recap, but I think him being part of the discussion last time, he can give us a broader view of it if I left out anything.
Okay.
We discussed about conflicts and indifferences.
Exactly.
Actually, we handled a number of issues concerning conflicts. But today's topic is more ear-catching, so I don't really want to take a lot of time.
I know. Uganda Matters University Radio, Mr. Moses, do you have something to talk about the conflicts in leadership and all that, and in differences?
Yes.
Because you're in leadership.
Yes, I am.
I know you face some conflicts and indifferences.
I am in leadership. Yeah. When we talk about conflict, it encompasses a number of issues, because at most people understand conflicts to be taking arms and probably to fight in physical fight. But when it comes to working environment, you realize that conflicts cannot be necessarily taking of arms, but there is conflict of interest. Yes, you'll have a conflict of interest in your way of work. So these conflicts are not only in that angle, but they are actually things that live with us. So to me, the only weapon is that when you come in touch with conflicts, what you need to do is to understand personality, especially when it comes to working environment. You understand personality so that you don't overstep, because when it comes to conflicts that emerge in working with the people and so forth, because of few differences here and there, then it is a matter of personality, and it's something that is inherent. It's something that is inherent, and therefore it is only you to accept the person the way he or she is, and understand the person, so that you be in position to handle that conflict. Otherwise, if you don't understand someone's personality, how will you then handle the conflict? Because at most, those conflicts that are physical, you can call for a dialogue and other thing, and it works as well for conflicts that maybe we come across them in our day-to-day work. I think that is the small insight on conflicts.
Thank you.
The Gavel Pod Show, the ultimate leadership experience, the visionary.
Politics. We all know politics, and we know that youths have done a lot. I mean, they are supposed to be there as far as politics is concerned, because politics is so big, so diverse. Their engagement in political processes is driven by a desire for change, a sense of urgency, and willingness to challenge the status quo. Is it what you mean?
Yeah, the status quo.
They are pushing for greater inclusivity, sustainability, and social justice, using platforms like social media to amplify their voices and mobilize others. So let's go and hear from you. We have a lot of things to talk about. I know my person. Someone was like, that one. I shouldn't even waste time on the previous one.
He's already eager. We're wasting his time.
Yeah. Let us start with a new character. Yes.
We might end up into a conflict. Give the
Again.
mic.
In politics. First, give us that diverse picture.
Thank you for the question. But first, we need to understand what the word youth is. So it is from that definition of the word youth that we shall know what we are discussing. A youth, depending on your circle of work.
Let me first give a disclaimer. Who is listening to us? We are in leadership. So in leadership, we are having youth.
Yes.
So youth are also impacting something on politics. So let us not be so, you have to give disclaimers. We're not speaking politics and all that. Though there are some things that are inevitable.
Yeah.
Yes, in some way.
So the youth, according to majority understanding, the person called a youth is someone below 35. Yet in other circles of life, someone below the age of 25. So there's a difference of about 10 years there. But in this particular context that we're going to discuss, we shall stretch up to 35 below. Again, for someone to qualify as a youth. One, when you talk about leadership, and the theme you've given us is also broad. You talked about world politics.
Yeah.
You did not world politics, meaning we are going to discuss the entire world. Okay?
But it would be best if we rotate around our immediate surrounding Uganda, Uganda Martyrs University,
Okay.
because itself.
We shall zero down to Uganda.
Before we go,
stretching. Now, looking at the youth, particularly
Freedom of speech.
Yes, particularly in Uganda here, I read last year's statistics, the census outcome.
Mm.
I got different outcomes. I do not know which one is authentic. But according to the information I relied on,
Okay.
they were telling us 77% of our total population is composed of young people. These are people below the age of 18. Then under the 77, there are different categories also grouped in there. Talk of those between 20 to 30, 30 to 25, and so on and so forth. So, looking at that big margin, 77% of the total population. Now, first of all, Simon, if I may ask you, are you aware that if all the young people eligible to vote, above the age of 18,
yes,
if they were to vote, they would actually change this government or keep it in power?
How, Mr. Bwe?
The number, they have the number, right?
Okay.
And then there's a common saying that people who have the power don't have the ideology. Then those who have the ideology don't have the power. You get? That's why the youth don't make much impact in politics in the country.
Where exactly? Uganda?
In Uganda.
Okay.
Yes. Now look at the previous election that we had in this country. Young people came out unanimously to vote. I do not know for which party, but they came out to vote in large number. If you recall news on social media.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, they said that was the election that young people turned out the most. But the outcome didn't reflect the number. Yes, the outcome didn't reflect the number that voted.
Okay.
That goes back to the saying given. And those who have the power don't have the ideology. And those who have the ideology don't have the power. So, this context of youth influencing politics,
yes,
I think it makes more sense in other jurisdictions, other countries.
Okay.
Let's borrow a leaf from Kenya. You remember the recent riots that we had in Kenya? Close to 99% of the rioters were young people, the so-called Gen Zs.
The Gen Zs?
Yes. So, these corrupt government officials were busy swindling money, government money, public funds. Then the young people rose up. But for us in Uganda, you just dare speak of rising up. The following day, UPDF everywhere. You get?
Okay.
We have the ideas. We don't have the power. In other countries, the young people have the power. They have the ideas. So, when you talk about young people influencing politics, it is actually something that is very absurd in our country.
So, Mr. Owen,
Yes.
before we can proceed to get to hear from Mr. Bobo,
Yeah, on that exact.
I'd love to give you to hear from you. What advice would you give the government to give more power to the youth and the decision making process of this country? How should they overcome that? How would you advise the government to really give the youth that power to influence the decision making of this country?
Maybe before I even answer that, the government first of all has to have the willingness, you get, to govern the country in good faith. The moment that one is there, however good your ideas to the government may be, they will make no sense. You get me? Yes. So, okay, my best advice to the government. I'll begin on a sad note, then I'll talk about the advice. About 5 to 6 years ago, there was a student of Makerere who invented a tear gas canister, locally made with our locally produced products. That issue went extinct. It just disappeared because that was a risk to the government, the current government in power. You get? Yet if they had developed that young man's idea, you get, would be very far by now, would be producing such kind of things, and by encouraging, they would have helped other youth to also develop other developmental ideas in the country. Well, I think the government needs to, one, pump in a lot of money in innovations of the young people. The young people, you go to Katwe, those are school dropouts. Most of them, with due respect, most of them are school dropouts who are making things out of critical thinking. Like they think they look at trash, they look at how they can make use of it.
Mm.
Then you'll find a university graduate, when you go to university, you are not told to go back and look for a job. You are supposed to go and create. Now here is a difference between someone who has gone to school, to campus, and they go back and sit waiting to inherit their people's jobs.
Hunt.
Yes. Now these are people who ended in P6, for example, okay, primary or lower secondary, and they are able to do something much better. You get? So for me, I think government should venture so much into the ideas of such people who are down there, so that their craftsmanship can be developed. Those who have good ideas should be called on board to make mention what they think is good for this country.
Well, at Uganda Matters University, the influence of the youth in the world politics. Yeah. Of course, this is our 4th episode. I don't know, Mr. Moses, do you have something to say about what we have shared now with the men?
Yes, I just have to have a little bit of input on the introduction Manuel has.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, for a country to thrive, it is actually now. Who is categorized to be a youth? You know, in our context as Uganda,
Mr. Mwina said 35
35
to 18.
to 38 below.
Is it ready to 18?
No. 18, those are the ones who are eligible to vote.
Okay.
Yes, it is from 18 to 35.
Okay.
That's when we term that person to be a youth in our context. In East African context, they take it from 15 to 30. That's what they term to be a youth. The United Nations, East Africa,
Okay.
Under the Youth Charter of East Africa, for youth, they take a youth to be someone from 15 years to 30. Now, United Nations considers a youth much lower, from 12, I think, around 12 or 15 to around 30. So you realize that most of our population, within and even outside, are full of youth.
Yeah.
Are full of youth. Now, what does it entail for such a population to have influence in politics of their respective countries, of which we are also included in that? So you realize that our systems of empowering the youth are crippled. The systems are not in a manner that could empower youth, could give them an opportunity to showcase their potential. If you take a representative of youth in the parliament, the population, Mr. Matthew said, of 77 million young people,
Yes.
of which about 55 million of them must be youth. If we are to take the children below the age of 18, it must be around 55 million people are youth in the entire country. But their voices are only represented by regional youth representatives. One from northern Uganda. The northern region has more than 30 districts, and it is represented with one youth MP. The eastern region likewise has more than, let's say, even 35 districts, but represented under one youth MP to the parliament.
Some
Now,
justice.
Considering the issue of democracy and the aspect of debate to sell an idea, the rule of majority takes precedence. How could policies that are surely targeted to reform youth, to empower youth, systems that empower youth, so that they build their bases to showcase their potential, could easily be agitated and taken upon?
Oh, Mr. Moses, I don't know, maybe to correct you somewhere. We have seen very many youth nowadays are involved into politics, and when you go deep you're going to see a number of youths who have taken up some big positions.
Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
According to what you're saying, as you're saying that the youth have not been given platform, because you have given us, you have given us very many places where we have a few youths in leadership, and they have not been ready to execute.
No, you didn't get my point of argument. My point of argument is not the youth not participating. Yes, the platform is there, but the platform is not commensurate to agitate serious agenda that could easily be actualized.
Can I borrow a bit of your time?
Let him finish.
Yes.
Yes.
Now tell me, a district at most has over 6,000 people. A district at most has over 6,000 people, or even more. But do you know how many representatives they have? 4 to 3 at most. That is the representative of a district, not youth.
Yes.
Leave out youth.
The leaders.
The leaders for the district,
Yes.
for that population. I think that for that population. Now tell me, how adequate could the agenda of youth, ideas of youth, be actualized when a region, the whole region, is represented? One region of over 25 districts is represented with only one youth MP.
One youth MP.
One youth MP. That one youth MP will agitate for the interests of the youth, for his very what? For his very region. Now tell me, who will back him up? When the issue of majority comes out, whose idea?
What are you driving at?
Which idea? Now, if a youth from, let's say, from Eastern region has identified a very critical issue that need to be handled by people in power, probably the government to be exact.
Yes.
Yes. He brings the idea on table. He brings the idea on table in floor of parliament for actualization of his idea, because it's a pertinent issue. It's a very pertinent issue in his what? Constituency. And the one voice is representing it. But for a district, for the entire district, more than 2 or 4 actually, at most is 4 MPs. The same what? The same voice on the same matter. Tell me it will fail. And tell me whose idea will easily be championed. So you realize that the platform, yes, is there, but the platform is limited to a point that the youth is dominated.
What is exactly needed to be done on this particular thing you're talking about?
You know,
your voice.
Yes, it all comes to goodwill, the goodwill of a state.
But are youth ready to come up? Because you might decide to talk in a different way, but those people you're talking for, they are not, for them, they are not ready to come up. You know?
Yes, that's why
you're not going to force certain youth to come on a certain position.
It takes you to what Matthew says, that the people who have idea don't have the power.
Don't have the ideology.
Don't have probably the ideology and the power. The people who have idea.
Okay.
Yes. But those who have the power don't have the idea. I think that. So that's the bottom line. If they don't have the power, if they have the power, but if they don't have the will for common good, believe me, nothing will come up.
Am I really failing to understand, Mr. Moses? Because if you are, we are in the democratic country, right?
Yes.
Where everyone is supposed to rise up and show up, right?
Yes.
That is what the Constitution says. We are in democratic country.
Yes. Interject a bit.
Now, excuse me. Let me make it a bit clear.
Okay.
There is one thing. Yes. There is one thing to bring in an idea, to table an idea. Not so. There is one thing to table in an idea. That's what this one youth MP can table. Not so.
Okay.
And that idea, in order to help the common youth down there, need to be actualized and made it practical, so that it helps that common youth down there. I think that. So the idea is not based on representation. Yes, I can come and I bring out issues that touch my people, my youth, in my region. I think that. But now, if these issues are not worked upon, what is representation there? Have I represented people? Or I just went and lamented things.
Thank you very
That's
much.
the bottom line.
Thank you very much. Maybe are you saying something?
Yeah, so I think what he's trying to bring out.
Okay.
Yes, the government has brought in these places. We have the youth representatives to represent.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to
I think
picture
he's
from
trying
him,
to say that it's some
this
implementation.
yeah, implementation becomes difficult. And so what I got from what he was saying is that this one person, let me say, you, Simon, you come to you go to parliament to represent Nkosi.
Yeah.
Most of the times you're going to get problems that are surrounding Nkosi, but meanwhile you're representing Mpiji, let me say. PG has Boama, has Nabsanke, what Kayabwe, but for you the issues you take basically will be around Nkosi.
Yeah.
So when it comes to backing up this idea that you have brought to parliament, now you want Boama, Kayabwe, Nabsanke to come in and back it. But the issue you're bringing is basically a Nkosi issue.
Okay.
You get. So what he's trying to say, there are few people who are actually bringing up the ideas of the youth. Is it, Mr. Bobo?
Yeah.
But again, he's like, if someone, even if they are there, someone tables the ideas, but still the implementation.
Because he doesn't have the backup.
Yeah, he doesn't have the
backup. Because he doesn't have the backup.
Who is the backup?
The backup is, let's give a simple example. There is an issue of let's say of a bridge. A bridge has broken. Yeah. A bridge has broken. Let's say in Eastern region. Let's say this bridge that links the east to the central. Yes. Now you have one MP that champions that idea that yes, a bridge has broken and my people has been affected. I think that, and that is only one voice. But believe me, if all the voices from that very region and including the district that bridge sits on, if all of them come and they speak the same voice, that yes, our people are suffering. We need this to be rectified. It has more effect than one person. That is my point.
So meaning what he's trying to say, these representatives actually that are representing the youth are not connected with the youth. They are not supported, you get.
Okay.
They don't have the backup of the youth themselves.
Well, it's just 36 minutes here on Uganda Matters University Radio. We are still trying to give some insight, some some fire here in the building today. I love the zeal. I like it. Mr. Moses and Mr. Omwen here today. We have you interjected. You wanted to start to say something.
Actually, I have something very hot. To add on.
Please let it be 1 minute.
It's okay. All that Moses said, I just want to summarize in something small.
Yes.
There is you being given a power to be represented, but then you're represented by the person representing you does not have the mandate to implement what you people want. You get? You realize that in our parliament, for example, the youth MPs we have there don't even speak. And if at all they ever speak, the things they speak about are not even taken into consideration.
Then I will know we are looking at the way forward. What is that thing?
What should be done?
Yes. What is failing?
The youth usually
Because it is the government that is like, youth, please come up. You know, it is a free world. Come up and say what is hurting you people, what is at your side you're leading. You get. So now, why would they come into parliament and they just keep quiet? What is that exact thing? And if they speak, there's nothing going on. What do you think it's that?
Parliament, in my own analysis, Parliament is there, but it is for a few selected people. The people have the power.
And again, I take this thing to the youth. If you have come up, we expect you to be sounding, to be vibrant on issues. Why would you come into parliament and you sit?
And two, before I respond to that, do you know the reason why Ugandan prisons have more of young people than older people? Have you ever taken trouble to do your own analysis on that? Once at representative level,
they are wrongdoers.
Just a moment. Why are they wrongdoers? At a representative level, they have failed to hear them. So most of them get on streets. They do all sorts of things to survive.
Okay.
So in so doing, they are arrested, tortured, and so on and so forth. So the matter concerning young people is really pathetic, especially in Uganda here. Now, the time the Musevenis came to power, for example,
President Museveni.
Yes, whatever you call it. By then he came with very many young people. You get? Actually, when he went to the bush, they abducted very many young people, took them to the bush to fight the then government. Right?
True.
No one taught them about patriotism. Why are they teaching young people? Why should they teach you to love your home? Then that alone tells you that there's something wrong. And why are they targeting a particular group of people? Simon, have you ever bothered to ask yourself that? So that alone tells you.
Nowadays, youth are ignorant.
I really do not think that they are ignorant.
It's like theology was talking about.
How do they begin to teach you how to love your home? It is the way your parents take you that will make you do what? Either love or hate. But here you're in a situation where you're hating your home. That speaks a lot about the young people. Young people are actually not happy.
That's true. Let's take it.
Hi, cozy people. Good evening to you all. Let me hope you're doing well. Well, Gavel Club has great things for you this semester. Please come on board. We already have our meetings every Monday, 4:45 p.m. to 7 p.m. We have the Gavel Pod. It runs from Saturday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Please come on board. May you be hosted. May we talk about leadership and exhaustive, different things, exciting conversations, and good debates. Thank you.
From that quick short commercial break. And so in the house we still have Mr. Boboya Moses, the Vice Chairperson, Electoral Commission, Uganda Matters University, and Mr. Omwen Matthew, a law student, 4th year, right?
No, second.
Anyway, I wanted to check if things on point. Anyway, we are still with him. So we are sharing about the influence of the youth in shaping the world politics, and they have greatly shared. The house was fun. We got to know what Mr. Boboya really thinks is limiting the youth. They have a limited platform to say this one representative can't be backed up by a big number of the youth. And Mr. Matthew aligns the number. He gave us a quote that those that have the power don't have the ideology, but those that have the ideology
they have the power.
Those that they have the power. Anyway, so we have been talking about all this, and it shows us that the youth, he talked about them having a limited platform of say, right? So this brings me to a question, basically to go to Mr. Moses. Is the rise of social media or online activism a positive force for the youth to engage into the politics? Do you think it is a positive force for them to engage into the social media? We have seen a lot that has been put on social media about politics. There are very many political activists that have come in to talk about politics using the media and everything. Do you think this is a positive force for the youth to really get engaged and to really influence the politics of the world?
I think it is one.
Yes, it is very, very positive, yes. But the issue with the issue of the youth amplifying their voices through social media is that there is a protocol. There is protocol of establishing systems, and there is a protocol of adapting a document for implementation. Now, an idea shared on social media is an idea on social media.
It stops there.
It stops there. It only sends a message. It sends a message that yes, there is a worrying situation.
I'm seeing an impact
here. Okay? Now, what does it take for that idea to have a long-lasting solution? It is when that idea is crafted into a document that can be relied on, that is when an impact comes. I don't know if you've been following. So that is only the only reliance that the youth could actually amplify their voices of things that are not favoring them. But the issue is, if these voices come up, do these voices be taken into consideration and actualized in a manner that addresses the matter? Just an example, the youth have just actually embarked on sending messages on social media.
Using Twitter.
Yes, using Twitter,
Yes.
even TikTok. Yes,
Yes.
they do. And most often, if they see a miserable child probably trying to get food, but because of some people that wouldn't wish to help, they chase the child away, or they give the child a piece of meat and they pulls back what? Water. I think that, and that's a child that would have been taken good care of. I think. But now, have you ever asked yourself that yes, we are a state. We have a greater portion of our population that are young, 77% of over 45 million people. It's a big number of people.
Yeah.
Yes? Have you ever asked yourself that why is it that there are not deliberate effort by the government, to ensure that at least each household have something to take, to ensure that each household has the basics of life? Have you ever asked yourself that? There are a number of these videos. I just want to single out that to paint for a picture that yes, social media is a voice for us to amplify our interest. Yes, but the issue is, are those voices in the social media put into working document that could pull us out even generation to generation? So that is the issue. Yes, social media can expose, social media can advocate for something, but do our governments have the will to ensure that such voices that come out of social media are worked upon, and the systems and the systems that pull people out of such occurrences are developed to rescue this good population of the people? Because now the effect is diverse. The effect is diverse.
Too much.
This child, you never know the potential of this child, and this child is lacking food. For example, if it is the issue on social media, is lacking food, and a representative in the parliament, probably the one even in charge of Uganda Bureau of Statistics, probably the directors, might have come up in such videos. Even the Minister of Communication might have come up with these videos because they censor this social media platform. They see, yes. Now, have you ever asked yourself why such thing occurring? Because they are occurring again and again. Won't it send a message to someone who has the heart for his or her country?
The government is strategic. The government is strategic. It has the system on how it attacks on some issues.
Yes.
This is my own. I think it has a system.
It has system, and it is
So
that
if
system.
Mr. Moses, you come up and you want something. You're using social media. And let's be gradual. Let the government start with and then it goes to midrange, and then so you might find a huge amount of people, very many people are on social media. Everyone is advocating for what they want. Everyone is so what I'm just asking.
Yes,
I'm asking, and I'm also informed.
Yes, I understand.
Because I think there is a system.
I remember when I said earlier on, it's different from an issue that is raised in social media. I don't know if you got that.
But
yes?
I think also...
Let me substantiate before you come in. Yes. Now, there are certain issues that even you shares them, but those issues are cross-cutting. It's actually fortunate that you have shared. But if you do due diligence, you realize that a good portion of people are undergoing the same problem. I think that. And yes, the systems are there, but the system doesn't incorporate these messages we send on social media unless it poses a threat to change of government, unless it poses a danger. That is when a response is taken.
Do you know that there are some youths also who are contrary to some messages of their fellow youths? Do you know that?
Yes, that comes with extremism, and diverse ideology.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway. So, Mr. Moses, we have a listener.
Okay.
Jimmy is tuned in. He says,
Yeah.
Mildred and Simon, thank you for the show. The youth can influence politics, but the power is that the old bananas do not allow young suckers to grow. How can suckers grow when old ones failed to die? Because the system, you can testify, even in the university, which should be known for research and knowledgeable development, we are having cultural groups and providing campaign
And
revolutionaries.
producing, I think, champagne revolutionaries. Yeah, that is what he meant.
Okay, champagne
revolutionaries.
Yeah. So he continues to say, he gives an information to Mr. Boboya. Media has information to Mr. Boboya. Media has read about hypodynamic. Why not? Mr. Jimmy Atwara speed. Needle theory. He will learn the power of media has a case in point when Bobby was arrested. People rioted just after a few clicks on social media. When a youth introduces something, they term it as dangerous. That's why you no longer see devoted citizens, but it's us, the educated people, to deny selfish leadership oxygen. Thanks for the show. So this is Jimmy Kutesa, Monama Odiye.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Matthew should also deliberate something about that. The rise of social media and online activism. Has it been a positive
Mr. Matthew,
force
you have 2 minutes.
in the engagement, the youth engagement?
I'll begin on a positive note. Social media is really good. I'll first borrow an example from Kenya, based on the riots that they had there. All the information that was spread, that was scattered across the country, were done on social media. And these people, the young people, sprang up. They responded appropriately, in my view. Now, looking at Uganda here, we the young people were doing the same some time back, a few years ago, not until government saw us as being a threat to them. So they chose to curtail our freedom of speech on social media by introducing a tax. You get?
Okay.
Nowhere on earth, no country on earth, I've never heard of any that taxes directly the way our Ugandan government does on social media. It is like putting us aside on a platform that unites us. When we talk about social media, people just zeroed down social media to Facebook, WhatsApp, and whatnot. But social media includes even televisions, radios, and whatnot. All those constitute social media. Now, social media is also a dangerous tool because there are people who can craft very good stories about you, Simon, for example.
Information.
Yes. They put on social media and the young people will respond according to that.
That is the contrary part I was talking about.
Yes. So young people, in relation to politics and in relation to social media, they can do good, they can do bad, depending on the authenticity of the message.
The information.
Yes. And now most of our young people actually are unemployed, and the only place they idle in is
Social media.
Yeah. So anything is poured there. Any slight occurrence anywhere, they put it there, whether you like it or not.
For reference.
Yes. But in most cases, what the young people put there is actually good. Now look at social media in the olden days of radios and in the traditional systems of communication. I'll give an example of South Africa. When we're in for a break, they talked about musicians. Then I talked of these people who sing what I term as really unethical songs. Those are survivors, as I said before. I won't give names. Those are not musicians. Those are survivors. Remember, in the olden days of apartheid in Southern Africa, particularly South Africa, there were young people who came up to stand for the views of the young people. An example is Sarafina. That young girl, by then now, I don't know that she's still alive or she's dead. Hey, by then she was a very young girl. She sang a number of songs that really changed the atmosphere of politics. Yes. The Nelson Mandelas, they didn't sing, but by then they were young people. So their social media at that time, well, actually it was just 02 radios, writings, mainly. So they utilized their social media by then effectively to awaken young people to rise up. The Steve Mbikos and so on. But for us today, actually some youth, you'll get a rival group posting this, another group posting the other. You get? So I think social media is good, but it also needs a careful regulation. Not a regulation that is one-sided. Like in most cases in Uganda, for as long as something is a threat to the sitting government, it is declared null and void. And therefore they will put a crack to it at whatever cost that they can afford. So to me, social media is very good, and it really influences because it sends good information out there. It informs people about what is taking place in the country.
Getting to because I also want to, this is like a question of some, you know, before there was very many ways of you know, getting to what the youths wanted, you know, before the social media, this we are talking about. There was that diplomatic, yes, it was diplomatic, a way of getting what we want, you know, as a country. What about those diplomatic ways? Where did they go? Because, you know, like I'm a youth leader, I sit with my people. Before even going to pour everything on the social media, can't the youth sit down themselves? Because before even going to the social media, the TikTok, and they pour anything, many things are against the government, many things are against the leaders, you know. What about sitting down and then they, you know, they do something? Mr.
Yes. The issue of governance and participation and politics is not something that is abstract. All this starts from the family unit, and then it spreads to the wider community. Yes, those diplomatic issues.
Yes.
Those diplomatic ways, means of handling issues.
Because even the government is advocating for them.
Of handling issues. Yes, they are there. But this, what you call diplomatic, probably conferences, youth conferences, these youth conferences are tinted with the things that are not substantial. Because now you organize a youth conference and then you call people, they only sit, they take soda and the snacks. The views are represented and the views will remain there. You give them allowances, they go. And the issue of follow-up is very difficult. It all comes to the aspect of representation, because not all those youth that gave ideas could follow their ideas in those diplomatic conferences, whatever you call it. See that? Because now the issue of the system is that, yes, when you've resolved on an idea, this idea has to be followed. So that is, it has to be followed, so that it is actualized, worked on. Yes. But now, there is a ministry that probably is in charge of the ideas that you've raised in your diplomatic conference whatsoever for us as youth.
We have sat with fellow leaders.
You've sat with fellow leaders and so, and they have done they have actually done yes, they are there. But now the resultant effect, what is that one that can be pointed at that yes, it was done
and this
for
is what
the youth because of a conference that was held. Yes. So the bottom line is that at most when these conferences are held, actually they are only to give positions, ceremonial positions to a few youth to impress them, and then they are taken out.
Gavel Pod show.
They are taken out. They are taken out for workshops, given a lot of allowances. They come back. They are silenced. Which ideas will they champion? Yes, and there is no way you'll agitate for your fellow youth.
The diplomatic means, are they failing, or are we like, have they failed the diplomatic ways? The youth, of course, have been told by the government entities, to come to always table, their issues. That is the diplomatic means we know. Have they failed? Because I saw you wanted to say something.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, the diplomatic means are there.
Yes, and they should be the ones.
But one thing you should understand about our country, there's something small. That what is the gist of your communication, however diplomatic it may be. You get? Is it a threat to the government?
Mr. When diplomacy is when you sit.
I'm coming to that.
Yes.
Yes. You sit, craft your message,
yes,
and forward to the relevant authorities, right?
Yes.
Yes. A number of times young people have done so. But what is your message carrying? If it is free of any threat to the government, they may work upon it. If it carries anything related to a threat to the government, they will not work upon it.
No. Why would they put government? Because this is my own issue. Maybe our area issue that is affected. Our area which is affected. We are like, we want this so and so building the road be built. Yeah, be constructed. What means do you think should work there, to advocate for that road to be built? Because for me I feel diplomacy.
Yes, diplomacy is good, and I can see the spirit of diplomacy in you. You're really calling for it. But in Uganda, Simon, I can assure you, there are certain things that if you're to achieve, you should never go the diplomatic way, because you may not realize them. Or if you're to realize, they will come long after you've gone. You get me?
Then when you get into the constitution of Uganda, you will be considered as a public nuisance, because if not diplomatic, meaning you're going to go a public nuisance.
But the same constitution also allows you to demonstrate. It is constitution. You are allowed to put out your view, but of course in a respectable manner. But now if the space is not there for you to do so, what do you do? So Simon, for me and Mildred, I'd even forgotten that Mildred is here.
Yeah. Okay.
I will just ask you a question that will reflect the kind of leadership that is conveyed to the young people.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to record something, and at the end of the recording you realize the audio is not there, but you have the video?
Yeah.
That is what happens to the youth leadership of today. They call for leadership. They tell you we've now created space for you. They cancel what things like that. We are bringing money for young people, but your voice will not be heard. They just call for such things to make sure you keep quiet. When let me give you a local example. You go to a home that has tough dogs. The only access to that home is you carrying meat. When the dogs begin making noise, you give them, you continue. When the other one is making noise, you give, you continue. That is what our government is doing to us. Young people, you've heard of very many young people who come out to say, I now denounce my former party, I have now joined the other. And they tend to hate so much where they came from. Why? Indoctrination. You know these things. We talk of leaders, let's say at national level. As parliament, you're supposed to be autonomous from any other authority.
Yeah.
But most times they will call you to State House. Then they tell you, now, you see, this is the issue. This is what you are supposed to do. You forget about what your people sent you to deliberate upon. Then you go that it is a how did they term it? I've even forgotten the term. That it is a collective what? There's a way they call it. So you forget about what took you there, like the views of the people that took you there. Then you go by your party's stand. You get me? And in most cases, these young people, let's talk about at a district level. They be there at the district council, they speak nice words and so on. Speak nicely, but at the end of it all, whatever they talk about, they look at it in the angle of implementation. They tell you, we do not have funds to implement that. But they have funds to send UPDF outside the country to go and fight wars that do not concern us. I speak without fear. You get it?
So, Simon, the matter of young people is very pathetic in our country of today. They send the so-called youth fund and so on, things connected to the young people. The loans that they have been dispersing to the young people, including PDM. They send the very big people in government are the ones who tell you, if you want this money, you'll give me this percentage of the money. If I'm to give you 1M, you'll give me some 400k. A young person does not have money. What does he do? He allows, he signs the necessary documents, he's given money, and he goes. Just like that. So you realize that most of their needs are not catered for. That's why in Uganda, most people first resort to violence when they are defeated by the state, and they take on whichever option is left. Otherwise, the young people have a lot of influence.
Thank you.
The Gavel experience where visionaries, innovators, and game changers come together to share their stories, insights, and leadership expertise.
We are trying to conclude. This is our last segment of the show. I will just thank you very much for those who have been tuned in. We have seen that guy called Jimmy. Thank you for the questions and sharing some insights here and there on what you really know about the youth involvement into this politics. So today we are handling the influence of the youth in the world of politics. Yeah, it is a very big debate. And the fact that we have brought big heads, big brains are everywhere. So they have tried to give some insights on what they really know and what they see. Yeah, they think of youth being into the minutes. We are even into another time. The fact that we are going into elections. Yeah, what are some of the expectations? What are you seeing? You have to see the future, how 2026 general elections are going to be. What this is for all of you, even the lady in the camera. No, I'm kidding. What are your expectations for 2026? And of course, we all know that the majority of the voters, the majority in these general elections, being the voters, be it the leaders also, we are going to see the youths being in this thing. So what exactly are we going to see? Or we are already seeing now?
The atmosphere is already political.
Mr. Win, take off.
Thank you. For me, what I see is nothing.
Mr. Win, you have 1 minute.
Thank you.
Yes.
What I see is nothing apart from violence. Starting with the tweets that are already ongoing. Talking of killing people, hanging, we shall detain you, we've already warned you, Kabobi, and so on and so forth. Such tweets from the so-called CDF are not good at all. And now your president assuring people that he is still around, and yet we are tired of him. I don't see anything good in the next general elections. We are tired. He said I have 1 minute.
These are your words.
Of course mine. And I'm not even worried about them.
It should be clear.
Yeah, it's true because when you see such tweets from such leaders who have been who would be maybe motivating us to get into this kind of leadership, and you're seeing some such tweets which are so scary, you'll be like, oh, what are we really going in for? You might, if you want to be a leader and you're youth, you might want to stand out. Yeah. So, Mr. Moses.
Yes, to me,
what are you seeing 2026 general elections, and we are talking about the youth getting into the world of politics?
for me, I don't see elections, because what we have is not elections. It's just something similar to elections.
These gentlemen.
Just because when you don't have reforms that could help you to organize credible, free and fair elections, and when you're not having a neutral power, a neutral body to organize elections, then what's the basis of organizing elections? You can't constitute.
Do you have an idea of what you're talking about?
I have an idea. You can't constitute your own electoral commission. You constitute your own electoral commission, and you expect to lose an election. What is that? For us, we say you can't be a judge of your own self. Yes?
Okay.
Now, how can you be a judge of your own self and you pass a verdict against you? So it's difficult. So I really don't see much. It's just as usual elections. To me,
democracy
is not democracy, but democracy is in a manner that is twisted, not reflecting democracy. Yes, that is democracy that is tinted with a lot of bribery, with a lot of intimidation, with a lot of oppression of press and so forth.
Should the youth or the leaders get out of this? Because you just said that the elections are just tainted. They are not what we see. You know, they are not what we expect. Why would leaders, would youth get engaged into this what you call pre-pod elections?
It's just because of capitalism.
Formality.
It's just a formality, and the notion of capitalism has corrupted our systems. Yes, because what do you expect? At night, people are distributing money to buy votes in drones. Now what do you expect? You have constituencies, even in places
President Museveni said Bobby Wine rigged votes. What do you say about that?
But that was an accusation, an allegation. Was not proof. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And also, before you call us off, just an addition. They say time is the best judge. I think the Bible also confirms the same, that when the right time comes, the Lord will make it happen. So, Simon, when the right time comes, at whatever cost,
Shall see it happen.
there will be a change. Ask Libya. Stop.
Can you ask for, can you seek for change peacefully?
She has failed.
We need diplomatic means, isn't it?
The diplomatic means, the problem is, when systems fail to work by themselves, you just know that is already a sign of a failed state.
No, thanks.
But with what we have today, thrown it all.
What I can say, the house is really on fire. They have really shared great insights. But what I continue advising to the youth about all this, we have the voice. And I would say within the part of social media, I would still say it is a positive force. Let's wrap our message as intellectuals, because the biggest percentage, if you're an educated person, wrap it as an educated person. Deliver that message in an intellectual.
Personally, I was calling for diplomatic means.
Let's use
you
peace.
did not hear me.
Yes, let's use peace. For the sitting, Simon, I really wouldn't side with you, because if it comes to his saying that the representatives, how are we backing them up?
Okay.
These representatives are there. How often do they come to the ground? It is a question.
Okay.
So I would like to go to our listener. If I can wrap up my home. We have a few messages. We have Charles has been tuning in and so thank you guys for the show. It has been really wonderful. I love Mr. Boboya's explanation. And Matthew, you have been my panelist of the day. Miss Mary Dorothy.
Thank you very much.
She has been a very listener ever since our first episode. Youth are a threat to our current government. More that's the youth are a threat to our current government. More reasons, they are still entertaining the likes of Moses Ali in Parliament. I think you can get to know the message. Democracy in Uganda is on paper, even to be a talk. Anyway, Charles also comes in and is thank you for the show. Matthew and Boboya have really made my day. So, I see people have, Jimmy has also been listening in. So universities are instead of having cultural galas with parties showcasing dress code, food and other kasome and others kasome. I think what is trying to say we should have an education system that really prepares the youth to be the leaders themselves. Here at Gavel Pod, we listen, we don't judge.
No, not judge.
Of course, we don't
Actually, for me,
judge.
my last remark would be probably because I'm one person who because if I go in wrangles with my, for example, my wife, I don't fight against her. I just I pick what I want and then I leave. this is what I would want, because I don't want to cause, commotions, fight if they see you fight with a woman.
Simon running out by there is never an answer.
And
Wrap your message.
You don't know what would come in next.
Simon, that is also a form of a fight.
Living.
It is a mental
Because
fight.
it is not solved.
It is psychological.
It is not solved.
She has done something, and by all means she expects you to react in a certain way,
Yes.
and you don't. It is actually a fight, a psychological fight.
At that moment, your answer, I wouldn't value it. But when I go back and sit and think through everything, that the fight and everything, I'll get to know why. Well, Simon was right about this and this. And then to bring back the diplomatic way of you are saying, we sit down and then you're like, okay, this is the way forward.
So the youth, please, the men and women, please come into politics. Come and share share what you have for the country, because you're not going to lag behind and then you start to talk. Yeah, you
Do
come
your
up.
part.
Yes, be part of the politics
Of the
you
change.
want. Yeah, that is my last stream up. I think I've crowned it all. Thank you very much. Those who have been keeping it here on the senior chairperson. Thank you very much for coming, Mr. Nguyen, as usual. Thank you very much.
I love the way you pronounce my name.
Really?
You pronounce it the exact way.
Oh. Thank you.